Michelle thinks American men suck.
Let me warn you, your rage does not exist in a vacuum. If we don't get this election right, your wife, your daughter, your mother, we as women will become collateral damage to your rage. To the women.
Did you see the post he put out to celebrate her birthday?
Yeah.
Was it her birthday or their anniversary?
He did.
He chose the least attractive photo of her that's ever been released.
Imagine Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly accidentally walking into the same studio. Then discovering the topic is Michelle Obama. What follows is not a discussion. It's a verbal WWE match with zero rules, maximum sarcasm, and enough popcorn-worthy moments to crash Twitter. Whether you love them or can't stand them, you will not guess who throws the first punch, who lands the coldest line, or who loses their cool. Stay right here. It's about to get chaotic.
Even if they run Michelle. According to a new poll, Michelle Obama isn't as strong a Democratic candidate against former President Donald Trump as many Dems would have you believe. In a hypothetical matchup, my favorite kind, Trump wins with 47% of the vote compared to Michelle Obama's 44%. I guess some of the kids whose school lunches she ruined are finally old enough to vote.
Yes. And
ridiculous.
Not for nothing, but did you see that hideous outfit she was wearing? I'm sorry.
That's what having too much money does for you.
I've just never met somebody so ungrateful in all my life. And what did she start it off with?
Greg Gutfeld acted like roasting Michelle Obama wasn't just part of his job, it was his life's purpose. The second her name came up, his personality transformed into an Olympic-level hot-take machine, locked and loaded like he'd been waiting all week for this moment. He didn't just criticize, he treated her like the end boss in his personal video game, and if he didn't verbally body slam her on live television, the sun might not rise tomorrow.
Listening. We have every right to demand that the men in our lives do better by us. We have to use our voices to make these choices clear to the men that we love. Our lives are worth more than their anger and disappointment.
What's that pitter-patter sound I'm hearing in the background? It's the footsteps of Barack running to vote for Trump.
Megyn Kelly wasn't about to let him take the spotlight alone. She dove into the roast with the type of determination usually reserved for people training for a championship fight. As soon as Michelle Obama became the topic, Megyn shifted into full gladiator mode. Every statement sounded like she was carving her initials into history. If dramatic delivery were a weapon, she would have qualified for the special forces.
I mean, this is just wrong. Michelle Obama can look very nice in a photograph. This ain't it. She's got the kerchief on her head. They're about 20 feet apart in this intimate dinner. And he looks great. This is classic, right? Like, he's like, this is a great picture. He's got the 1,000-watt smile. And she looks terrible. Why would he do this?
I can tell you, Megyn, if I posted that photo, I certainly wouldn't be dating Jennifer Aniston.
You'd be a dead man?
I'd be a dead man.
Together, they roasted Michelle Obama like she'd been personally plotting against their airtime. She didn't make a speech. They roasted that. She made a speech. They roasted that too. She breathed. Must be something sinister behind it. The way they acted, you'd think Michelle Obama lived in a secret bunker filled with media control buttons labeled "Make Greg Mad" and "Activate Megyn."
Yeah, they know that they're having a hard time with men.
Right.
Doesn't seem like this is the right strategy.
No.
She basically says that they're hurting women by voting for Trump.
But I think they don't understand that where it comes from in the first place is that people are sick of being told how bad they are and talked down to, and you know, the condescension doesn't work. None of what they're doing really works. I mean,
Michelle wasn't there. She didn't respond, didn't enter the conversation, didn't so much as appear in the same zip code. And still Megyn talked about her as if she were telepathically steering world events from a hidden command center. They roasted her with the zeal of self-appointed defenders of humanity, but the only thing actually under threat wasn't civilization.
About, do you really go there? And then do you really say, because how many times somebody asks, what are you thinking about? And you're like, well, let me make up a thing because I don't want to actually tell you what I was thinking about
right now.
Which was like, the way you're chewing makes me want to smack you upside the head.
That's why guys don't want to have
Would that be an edge?
That would be an edge. And that would be really interesting. You could like open something up there in a big way.
Does your chewing annoy me so much?
Right.
She cannot.
If Michelle Obama walked past a plant, Greg would claim she was secretly signaling international elites. If she bought groceries, Megyn would analyze the grocery list like it contained encrypted battle plans. They didn't need evidence, just the thrill of the roast. And here's the funniest part. Every time they tried to roast Michelle Obama into irrelevance, they accidentally did the opposite. The more dramatic the takedown, the more legendary she became in the public eye. They weren't destroying her, they were mythologizing her. Greg couldn't let the roast breathe for even a second. If Michelle Obama so much as appeared in a headline unrelated to politics, Greg spun it into a monologue that sounded like he was warning civilization of approaching doom. If she went to an event, he narrated it like she was launching a global takeover from the red carpet. There was no off switch. Greg treated roasting her like a gym membership he had to use every day or it didn't count.
Were you surprised that Michelle Obama is not polling better? Because I assumed she would just explode.
No, I mean, well, I would expect her to do better than Biden. I mean, especially she's of a younger age, I think greater mental capacity. And the way the border is going, I don't think you can get much worse. However, it is surprising that even among independents and as well as Democrats overall, not any better.
Megyn kept pace with the precision of someone who schedules her roasts the way others schedule dental appointments. Michelle Obama could do something as innocent as post a casual photo, and Megyn would turn it into a dissertation about symbolism, power, influence, and the future of humanity. Every facial expression Michelle made became a Rorschach test that Megyn analyzed with the seriousness of a nuclear inspector. The entire studio buzzed like they were covering a world-changing crisis rather than two pundits dramatically roasting someone who wasn't even there. Greg puffed his chest like he expected the nation to award him a medal for verbal valor under studio lighting. Megyn spoke like she planned to inscribe her commentary onto marble tablets for historians to discover centuries later. The funniest part was how their intensity scaled with absolutely nothing. Michelle Obama could sneeze in public, and Greg would act like it was a coded message to world leaders. She could choose a brand of bottled water, and Megyn would go full detective mode, breaking down the real meaning behind the hydration choice. If Michelle blinked, one of them would swear it was part of a 5-dimensional chess strategy.
The latest soundbite from Barack Obama about his marriage to Michelle. Oh, sorry, reversing that.
Michelle
Obama
have
about her marriage
kids to talk about, right?
Right.
But not on a day-to-day basis. So now that we're empty nesters, it's like, well, what are we going to talk about? So we're together all day, and we do this thing where it's like, I'll see him, and it's like, what you been doing? It's like, oh, don't tell me until dinner. Because we got to have something.
Michelle Obama didn't clap back. She didn't weigh in. She didn't acknowledge the circus. And that only escalated the roast. Greg looked at the silence like it was a tactical maneuver designed specifically to torment him. Megyn treated it like a mind game pulled from the handbook of psychological warfare. If Michelle had actually said something, it might have given them closure. But she didn't, so the suspense fueled them like jet fuel. The roast became a ritual. Every time her name surfaced in the news cycle, Greg and Megyn took it as a divine summons to sharpen their microphones and reenact the drama. And somehow every attempt to take her down ended up doing the opposite. The more theatrically they roasted Michelle Obama, the more importance they accidentally gave her. They tried to shrink her image, but they built her legend. To them, it wasn't commentary. It was a competition. Not a debate, a duel, not a perspective, a quest. And the most hilarious irony of all was this. For Greg and Megyn, roasting Michelle Obama wasn't about truth, analysis, or public interest. It was about one thing and one thing only, chasing that glorious spike in ratings that only happens when the internet is melting down. Greg treated every single Michelle Obama headline like it was a red alert from headquarters. Days without mentioning her? Impossible. If the teleprompter didn't include her name, Greg practically dragged it back on set. The man radiated urgency like someone had just notified him that Michelle Obama personally hid the TV remote in his house and only a fresh roast would return it.
Michelle Obama surprised fans on our new podcast by saying her pet peeve about her husband is that he's chronically late. For example, we're still waiting on him to admit he's from Kenya. And as for Barack's pet peeve about Michelle, he's mad that she keeps leaving the toilet seat up. When she cleans it. When she cleans it.
Megyn refused to be overshadowed. She didn't simply roast Michelle Obama, she staged multi-phase rhetorical airstrikes. Michelle could endorse a recipe book, and Megyn would analyze the font on the cover like it contained encrypted battle plans. No mundane action was allowed, not under Megyn's watch. If Michelle waved, it wasn't a greeting. Megyn treated it like ceremonial signaling to the Shadow Council of Influence. The studio audiences didn't tune in to learn anything. They tuned in to witness the ongoing soap opera of pundits behaving like Michelle Obama had built a psychological throne inside their minds. And every time Greg or Megyn claimed it wasn't personal, it became even more personal. Greg's voice rose to a pitch usually associated with malfunctioning smoke alarms. Megyn's intensity could have powered a small satellite. The news cycle shifted constantly, hurricanes, elections, global conflicts, but Greg and Megyn treated Michelle Obama as the gravitational center of the universe. If the world ended, Greg's final words would probably be, "I blame Michelle Obama," while Megyn analyzed the meteor's trajectory and traced it back to a speech Michelle gave in 2013.
To save time.
Yes.
I know having a glam team, a trifecta, it feels like a luxury, but it was a time necessity.
Yes.
There's absolutely no way that I would be able to do my hair and makeup and have clothes ready that fit, because rare is the woman that can live off the rack.
Right? No one can live off the rack. I'm sorry, but you have to subject yourself to the burdens of a hair, makeup, and wardrobe team.
Talked about Michelle Obama like she was his full-time arch nemesis. Michelle could host a children's charity event, and Greg would swear it was step one of her master plan to conquer the galaxy. She could take her dogs for a walk, and he'd insist those dogs were transmitting encoded orders to global leaders. He wasn't roasting what she actually did. He was roasting the myth he built around her, and every time Greg opened his mouth, that myth got bigger. Michelle Obama, 0 participation. Greg, maximum obsession. Producers didn't even bother hiding their delight. They hovered backstage like traders on Wall Street watching a market surge, whispering, "Keep going," because each dramatic meltdown meant more clicks, more outrage, more thumbnails on YouTube that looked like disaster movie posters. By the time Greg hit his stride, his rants had evolved. The first roast sounded like commentary. The 10th sounded like he was auditioning to play a comic book villain. The 15th sounded like someone who hadn't slept in days because the idea of Michelle Obama getting one positive headline tortured him. At that point, Michelle didn't have to say a word. Greg was doing all the work for her.
It seems like a found opinion. Like it's not hers. She just got it from somewhere else.
I don't know. I'm just stuck on the fact that she thinks that apparently if Kamala couldn't do something, then no woman could.
Yes. It's insulting.
I do find it personally insulting, yes.
Yeah.
Because, okay, sexism is a thing. That was not Kamala's thing. That was not the reason that Kamala was not elected.
Megyn's escalation was just as theatrical. She started with firm opinions, then evolved into investigative roasting, and by week 12, she had fully transitioned into energy best described as, if dramatic pauses were currency, she'd be a billionaire. Every time she mentioned Michelle Obama, there was a long, slow emphasis that implied hidden meaning where there wasn't any, and the viewers loved it. Not because they believed every theory, but because the drama had become addictive. Watching Greg and Megyn react to Michelle Obama was like watching two people convinced they were in a spy movie when everyone else knew it was just Tuesday. Megyn leans into it. She treated silence like it was part of a chess match, convinced every non-statement was a deeply calculated move. Commentary turned into theater. Theater turned into opera. Opera turned into mythology. Before long, roasting Michelle Obama became their shared brand. They didn't just debate. They didn't just analyze. They launched verbal expeditions. They constructed elaborate verbal architecture designed to reach the same predictable conclusion. Michelle Obama was plotting something, always plotting something, even when she wasn't. Their fans expected it. Their viewers demanded it. Their careers, at least temporarily, revolved around Michelle Obama like planets orbiting the sun. If she didn't appear in the news willingly, they summoned her anyway.
My team, I don't even want to have a dress ready, right? Because it's so easy to just say, let me do the right thing.
Was it really such a big sacrifice to ask her to go show up at the inauguration? You know, do you think Jill Biden really wanted to be there, or Laura Bush for that matter? You do it because the country likes these ceremonies. I realize Trump did not go to the inauguration of Joe Biden. That's a separate issue. But she talks about it like...
Greg developed the energy of someone whose reason for existence depended on defeating the idea of Michelle Obama. Megyn developed the energy of someone determined to be remembered in textbooks as the commentator who cracked the code of Michelle Obama. But the irony, the absolute comedy of it all, was how their roasts boomeranged. The harsher the takedowns, the more epic the image they unintentionally constructed around Michelle Obama. The more they tried to shrink her relevance, the bigger she became. The harder they swung, the more they elevated their target. They wanted to roast her into oblivion. Instead, They roasted her into legend. Not because Michelle Obama orchestrated anything, but because Greg and Megyn turned her into the main character of their personal hero stories. Off-camera, ratings meetings turned into pep talks about who could deliver the next great roast. They sharpened their commentary like swords. They rehearsed their critique like monologues. They waited for the next microscopic Michelle story to balloon into an hour-long takedown. And when it came, the roasting resumed with religious devotion. Greg led the charge, voice loud enough to rattle drywall. Megyn followed with icy calm that somehow sounded even more dramatic, and the cycle repeated. Whether viewers agreed, disagreed, or had no idea what was happening didn't matter. People watched, and in the world of pundit theatrics, attention is the only scoreboard. By the time the saga reached its peak, Greg and Megyn weren't just roasting Michelle Obama, they were competing for who could roast her harder. It wasn't journalism, it wasn't politics, it wasn't commentary, it was a sport. And Michelle Obama, she didn't join the game. This made Greg and Megyn play even harder.